Need to mix it up a little bit. Area of the lake. That one got it. Get out of there. What's up, MFers? Excited for the video today. You know, you go to your local lake and you got what's right back here behind me. A beautiful, sexy grass mat on the edge of a point right here. What are you guys picking up? You're probably just gonna pick up a frog, pick this little spot apart, catch a big bass, maybe catch a bunch of numbers, but at least go have a good time, right? But what happens when your lake looks like this? For those of you that can't see because this is a wide angle lens, that up there has all of this. This entire bank for miles and miles and miles and miles is this stuff right here. And I'm only getting a bite about every 500 yards. For those of you guys doing the math, if you're picking this apart with a frog, that's a bite about every 6 years. But luckily, you don't gotta throw a frog. I got something that works even better for covering water more effectively and still getting those ferocious topwater blowups and catching some giant bass. So the bait that I'm talking about is this guy right here. The swim bait, a weedless swim bait, except we're gonna be fishing it different than most people would traditionally fish a swim bait. You see us throw all different sizes of swim baits on this channel. Generally, we're fishing way out offshore or else on a grass edge. Today, we're fishing right over the top of it, and you wouldn't believe that the bass can even live in some of the stuff that we are going to catch fish in today. Now, truthfully, this can work all summer long, even in the spring and way into the fall. But the end of summer, like we're in right now, is one of the best times to throw this when the fish are super spread out. A lot of transition going on right now. And I'm gonna show you in today's video how this can be fished so much more effectively than any type of slow moving bait, and you're still gonna catch a ton of fish. Trust me guys, I wouldn't have believed it until I saw it for myself. It's gonna be a fun video. This is the type of stuff we're fishing today, guys. If you can see, it's like 3 feet deep right here. And we got what they call hay grass here. You can see why they call it hay. It looks like freaking hay. It's kind of like Kissimmee grass. If you're from the southeast, from Florida, in that area, it fishes very similar. But as you can see up there, it looks like it's just dry land and grass up there. That's actually, it's got some water underneath it, probably 1.5 feet up there. So as you can see, there's definitely a clear transition right up there as it goes from thick hay grass to sparse hay grass. And then out here, we have nothing. Oh my God, monster blow up. Pulled up to this patch right here and I can hear the bluegill smacking around in there, and I'm looking around, I see a bunch of threadfin shad in little groups, and then you'll see some giant gizzard shad working their way through. So that's why these big fish have taken refuge to this type of cover, even though they've been offshore and doing their thing out deep, a lot of them all summer. But I'm sure a lot of these fish don't even go out deep with this grass as good as it is right here. And we're just gonna fire that little swim bait over the top of it and get one just like that. Now that's not the right size, but angry dude. And I just saw a monster blow up right up there. Probably catch a lot of guys that look like that size. You can't complain when you're basically getting a topwater bite, right? And we're just hoping we can mix in a gigantor as well. Yeah, get out of there, you little pecker. Came back for it. Gotta like that. All right, we improved in size a hair. Got ourselves a nice little 2-pound guy. That guy popped it once and totally missed it. Came back through and he got it. Now that fish coming back and getting it the second time was huge for me, because that let me know that really these fish are active and that they're willing to do that. That's usually when they're just swatting at it and stuff, they you might want to go do something else, because you might waste a whole lot of time getting bites and not hooking up. But the fact that he got it twice, like that a lot. Now we just need to put it in front of some better quality fish. No. Okay. That was a baby guy, but we launched his ass. Kind of fun. Zark rod shows no mercy. There we go. There we go. Another peckerhead, but he came up and slurped the divine. Crazy thing is, you got a moving bait up there, and you got a small fish like that, and still look how he got that hook. Just buzzing that little swim bait. This is the sungill color, I believe is the name of that color, but perfectly imitates a bluegill. When you're running this pattern, you're fishing this swim bait over the top of this hay grass, or really you could throw it over the top of milfoil, hydrilla, gator grass, water willow. This works in a lot of different types of a little bit more sparse grass, but you can throw it in super thick stuff, as you're going to see today too. But the most important thing to me is the cadence, and I'm not just talking about how fast you're reeling the bait with the reel handle. It's all about rod position, the proper reel, how much slack's in your line. So let's talk about that a little bit. What I'm trying to do is buzz this thing on the top of the water. And it's almost like it's a more subtle buzz bait or whopper plopper. Here, listen to this thing when it comes in. Oh, one just grabbed it. I don't know if you guys can audibly hear that, but there's a perfect speed when you're throwing this thing, and I think it's a 3/16 ounce weight. Yeah, 3/16 ounce weight on the keel that I'm throwing this on, and you can adjust that with lead wire or just a bare hook or whatever. It kind of depends on the bait you're throwing. This 3/16 seems to fish this 4.5 inch Divine swim bait really, really well over the top of this stuff. But ideally, when I'm throwing this bait out there, I like to keep my rod tip up the entire time. I'll keep it at about 10 o'clock. And I want to reel this at a speed to where I'm getting as much of that buzzing, gurgling noise over the top of this grass as possible. To go along with the cadence and how you're throwing this, one of the most important things, probably the most important thing, is the mechanics of your hook set and your timing with actually getting those blow-ups to the boat. The thing you gotta understand is there's gonna be days when you're throwing any type of swim bait or frog or anything that buzzes a horny toad over the top of grass like this, that the fish are just not going to commit to the bait. They're going to slap at it, they're going to blow it out of the water. And those type of days, you need to do two things. You either need to put it away and go do something else altogether, or you need to put it away and do something else and come back at a different time of the day, because they're just not committing to it all the way at that time of the day. That's fine. But for the times when they are actually committing to the bait and eating it, you'll notice it. They'll actually suck the entire bait in. So what I like to do, along with the cadence, the speed at which you're reeling it to get that gurgling noise, is I'll hold my rod at about 10 o'clock and I'll try to keep a little bit of bow in my line. That way when a fish comes up and inhales it, they're not going to just blast it. If they do, if they come completely out of the water, that's probably because they're not a very big fish. But all you'll hear is that little sucking in motion, because that's what the bass are doing. They're chasing it down and then they're just opening their mouth and sucking it in. And when that happens, you got to have that bow in your line, or right when it happens, you got to give them a little bit of slack. Now, regardless, I like to give them some time before I set the hook. This isn't like fishing a frog for me, where if they blow up and I don't see anymore, I'm swinging. No, I'm actually going to give them probably a full 1 count before I actually set the hook. Hopefully we got plenty of opportunities today where you'll be able to see this in motion, because this, when I got started fishing, was one of the most difficult bites for me to dial in, was a horny toad, before I started fishing the swim bait like this too. It even got to a point with the horny toad where I was missing so many bites that I just didn't even use it anymore. Oh, I don't know if I got him or not. First quality fish. Look at that. He ripped my tail clean off my Divine swim bait, or the grass did, or something. Damn it. I mean, look how shallow this is. And that was up there. That fish had to be in 8 inches of water. I don't know how big that one was. It was at least 3 or 4. Might have been much bigger, I'm not sure. It's cool though. Really quick, I want to talk to you about the exact hook and the baits I'm using for this technique, because that's extremely important, I feel. First off, the bait, these are both 6th Sense swim baits. You guys know I use 6th Sense about everything because they make great products, but these two are very, very good for this technique. You want something that's going to make that gurgling noise up on top. This is probably my favorite. The Divine's probably my favorite. It's a little bit stiffer plastic than the Whale here, but the Whale is a little bit more natural profile, and it has a really good, they both have really good head wobble. The Whale, I think, looks a little bit more natural, a little bit bigger profile in the water too. So when I'm fishing the more sparse outer edges and the fish are kind of moved out off of it, maybe if it's windier, I want to put that bait a little bit lower in the water column, not just buzz it all the time. That's when I'll turn to the Whale. But the majority of the time when I'm fishing over the top of this super thick vegetation, I want the Divine, because it has just a great gurgling action on top, a lot of head kick. and that tougher plastic helps me Texpose it, and it doesn't just blow out every single time I hit one of these pieces of hay grass. This hay grass is rigid, it's a pain in the ass, it'll fray your line up, so check your line. I actually broke off once earlier today already, just not even on a big fish, just because you're banging it, you're ripping around through that grass, and the hay grass really does a lot of damage to it. And then the hook I use on this guy, I love the Owner Beast hook, but this is just the regular Owner hook, and that's important because it's more streamlined. I love the big gap of the Beast because I want as much gap as possible generally, but with this bait, you want it to be very, very streamlined. So I think just the regular Owner twist lock has enough gap with this Divine, and the Whale has a nice split belly design too, so when it does collapse, you get a lot of penetration as well. Now this is like the just the regular 5/0 1/8 ounce size. I think the 1/8 is just perfect. 1/8 or 3/16 is really good for being able to keep that bait up on top and still have it gurgling. If you have no weight, it'll just turn over on its side and hardly make any noise at all. You want a little bit of weight to keel that bait and have it slide over the top of that grass. And as you can see with this one, it didn't come with the proper weight that I wanted on it, and so I just use some side cutters. I think this was an old Flashy Swimmer hook. I cut the weight off, I cut the hook, the blade off, and I took some lead wire and I made it, I don't know, this is probably even lighter than 1/8 of an ounce. It slides up and down. It actually works great. So having some lead wire on the boat once again came in clutch. So I strongly suggest doing that. But that's the bait and hook. Back to catching. God, what a psycho. That was awesome. I saw that fish come up and blast this thing, and he got a piece of grass in his mouth and it was stuck. He couldn't get off it. He got off it and then came back and ran it down. As it hit the water. As it hit the water. Oh, why are you so small? Why are you so small, bud? You're fun. But man, you're small. They seem to be a little bit more, not more, but they're also on some of these little sticks and stuff that are mixed in. So when we're talking about sweet spots, we're talking about transitions where it goes from thick to sparse grass, and then whenever you can mix in a little tree like this, those have been the sweet spots. Always, always, always throw braid. This is 50-pound braid. You can go down to 40. I'm not that comfortable because I know there is some double-digit bass swimming around in this stuff, and you bow up on them with a heavy rod and this stuff, you can bust them off. So I like 50. It casts a lot better, and you got to make long casts a lot of times. So I don't like 65 because I can't get as much on the spool sometimes, but I like a fast gear ratio reel. Now, a lot of the 8-speed reels don't have the winching power, but for whatever reason, this Daiwa Tatula SVTW, God, there's a million different models of Tatulas, I feel like. This model reel, even in this 8-speed, it still has a lot of winching power, which I really, really like. So I can reel it quick, yet it has enough power when I go to set the hook. Because a lot of these 8-speed reels, you go to turn the handle when there's a 5 to 8 pounder buried in that grass and you can't move them. The rod, also important. This is the 7.4 heavy. It's the Zark rod. It slings this bait really, really well. I'm only throwing it, you know, an 1/8 or 3/16 ounce weight on this swim bait, so it's not a lot of weight. I could definitely step it up. I wouldn't hate to have a longer rod, so I've got a couple longer rods spooled up as well. We might be trying the Whale on my other flipping stick, but it seems to be a nice mix of having just enough tip to throw this bait, but you don't want much tip after that. You want it to shut off pretty quick. I like a parabolic action rod for this because you get them bowed up in that grass. You want to have pressure against them the entire way through. And so far, I haven't found a fish yet that I couldn't move out of the grass with this rod, so I'm sticking with it. Now they're just starting to not commit to it. Barely biting, and when they are, they're not committing, which means we need to mix it up a little bit. Area of the lake. That one got it. Oh my God. Once again, we're catching some damn Nebraska sized fish again, but beats nothing, right? I just talked to my man Jack York, that is, the big bass legend himself, and he's here too today, out fishing offshore, and he ain't doing worth a shit either. So I think it's a day thing. We'll have to see how the tournament goes. There's actually 2 tournaments out there today, so I don't feel too bad about not catching them. Hey, there's a gator up there. Let's go catch that. Regardless, though, there's big ones in here, and I think we just need to change parts of the lake. That's a good thing about fishing a giant body of water. We can just go run 20 miles and fish totally different stuff. Rip my swim bait in half. Okay. Sucker. Coming back for you. They have just stopped committing to it as the sun angle has gone down, which is kind of weird. You'd think with the sun getting a little bit lower in the sky, they'd be eating it a little bit better. They won't be able to see it as well, but that has not been the case. How did that guy not get hooked? Get out of there. Yes. Oh man, he is in it. I don't know how big this guy is. Doesn't seem very big. Pretty good fish though, and there he went. He came off. Finally came off. Little 3-pound guy. A little bit better quality fish. Not a giant, but right where he was supposed to be, right there in the little gap between the thick stuff. Probably should have put him in the boat, but he got super bogged and I don't know, just didn't get the hook enough, I guess. Get out of there, you sucker. God damn it, motherfucker. Never stuck him right, apparently. Totally missed that one. So that ended up being an awesome time on the water. Tons of topwater blow-ups, which you can never complain with. But as you saw, as the day went on, the bites definitely changed. They went from fish actually engulfing that swim bait to just slapping at it, trying to blow it out of the water or kill it. And they didn't bite. They didn't stick for me anyways. No giant fish, but I can assure you in the coming videos, you're going to see some very, very big bass. If you guys learned anything from this video, I'd love if you would share this with one of your friends. Definitely get out and use this swim bait as an alternate to that frog to at least cover more water and at least see where the fish are in those giant, vast grass mat areas. And then you can go pick those spots apart with a frog or flipping or however you guys like to catch them in the grass. Thank you so much for watching this, though, MFers. I'll catch you very soon. I'm out here. Peace.